ourselves of the truth of our being. Ah, so nice. So I'm Patty Mercado. I'm one of your assistant ministers, and it's my joy to welcome you to our service this morning, the first day of October, the first day of our commitment program, Courageous and Conscious Connections. So it's going to be fabulous, and we will begin with lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as our practitioner Marlene Kuckler lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. I invite you to join with me in affirmative prayer, recognizing that one power that is known by many names, that is ever present, that is love, deep abiding peace, infinite truth, creative in its nature, knows only one thing. It knows itself. And in that self-knowing and that self-awareness, it gives all that it is. It represents itself. And in doing so, it knows itself and it calls itself forth into all forms of life. In and through and as each one of us, that divine presence is. It knows itself in each one. And as we come together this morning to know that divine presence, we come together to know ourselves, to know the divinity that is God within in a greater way, to know that deep abiding peace, to know that creative intelligence, to know that divine presence that we call God, that we call spirit, that we call love. And because I know that we do so absolutely purposefully and mindfully, I know that for each one of us, this is an awakening. This is a revelation. This is a time of coming into that awareness in a greater way. And our lives are lifted, our lives are transformed, and we are in that flow. And because I know that we share it together, I know that this time together is absolutely blessed. It is blessed in the awareness of the presence of God. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to know this truth. I'm so grateful to stand witness to this truth being revealed in and through and as each one. And as I release this word, I know I'm releasing it to a perfect power. I'm releasing it to the law. And so I let go and I let love do its divine work. Please know this with me. And so it is. All right. And our practitioner is leading the affirmation and declaration of principles, Dave Friedman.
Morning. Morning. Follow along. Read this out loud. I believe in God, one created intelligence, operating throughout the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon the law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it, and so it is. Very nice. And now the affirmation for today. Today I remember the power of commitment. I consciously, confidently, and courageously commit to honor my connection with God by expanding my awareness of the holy I am. It is my truth, and the truth sets me free. And so it is.
Thank you, Dave. And please welcome our soloist this morning, well, our duettist, I should say, Allendale.
This is Daniel. This is a Daniel Nahmod song that you all know, and you can sing along if you want to do it, but I would recommend not doing it. One power, one power, one power. There's one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day.
One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say.
Mysterious until you know the truth.
As simple as the love inside of you.
Call it
God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Mauna, angels' wings or heaven's door. But
whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names.
the difference is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same.
We'll remember once we close our eyes to see.
That such differences were never meant to be.
salvation.
It's an everlasting peace.
It's the freedom of forgiveness.
It's the sweetness of relief.
It's the joy of inspiration.
It's the sunshine on your face.
It's the birthright of all nations.
It's the boundlessness of space.
Oh, it's the beauty of a baby.
The serenity of sleep.
It's the anger we abandon.
It's the love that goes deep. It's one power. It's one God. What we are is
It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and
Karen Allen and Kristen.
That was amazing, Rick and Karen. Let's give them another hand. Wow. Oh, such quick wit. During this month and into the first week in November, one of the special things we're doing is inviting one of you to the platform to be interviewed by me. Of course, you've already seen those questions, and so it's my great joy right now to invite Julie Isola to come to the platform. Whichever one you want. I'm usually okay on the short ones, but so just take a moment. You know, our theme is courageous and confident connections, and this morning's theme is connecting with God. And I'll get into later on how that can require courage and confidence. But it's, you know, anytime someone shares themselves with you, it requires courage and confidence. Even someone who's poised and sophisticated, it requires that. So Julie, I'm going to start with this one. One of the many gifts you bring to our center is your photography, which you use to illustrate our blogs, my blogs and posts, and the good news. Have you always been interested in photography? And also, the second part of that question is, tell us how our teaching has helped you develop this passion.
Well, I did. I started being interested in photography when I was a child. My dad was he was our family historian. So I kind of took that from him. But I didn't really start learning about photography till my youngest daughter was born in 2009. And then I really wanted to capture her life because I knew from my older kids how fast that goes. So photographers are light seekers, just like all of us. So we can't make a photograph without even just a glimmer of light. So we're always looking for the light. So I feel that that's really in alignment with our teaching. Also, photographers pick what they focus on and what perspective they choose, which is, again, is very much in alignment with our teaching. So I find that looking through the camera lens, it gives me an opportunity to really focus, for me, on things that are beautiful and abundant, that support the goodness in life. So I think that's very much in alignment with what we teach here.
Very much in alignment, and who hasn't read the good news? Oh, good, yay! So the good news comes to you the first of the month, and it's a brainchild of Julie. And so she illustrates that and with her photos, and with she illustrates my blog with her photos too. I'm very blessed. So the next question, tell us a little bit how long you've been coming to the center and maybe some of the activities that you've done here.
Okay, so I started coming to the center when my oldest daughter was 5, and she just turned 20 last month. Yeah, so about 15 years. And I started because I felt like, I started coming because I was searching for a spiritual home, a spiritual place for my family. And I tried other places, but this one was most in alignment with who we are, or what my beliefs are. And of course we fell in love with Miss Patty. So the children, the girls would beg me every Sunday when they were little, can we go see Miss Patty? You know, and if we couldn't go that weekend, they would be so disappointed. So, so I was very involved with youth church when the children were little, and I've taken first and second year classes, and parent forum I try to attend as often as possible. And then I'm on the marketing committee right now. I've been on the marketing committee for a long time, and now I'm doing the marketing for the center.
Tell us more about that. What does that mean?
So I handle I handle the website and any emails, most of the emails that go out, any press releases, all of our advertising, that sort of thing. The blog, I write on the blog, and social media, a little bit of social media stuff, mostly Facebook is what I do. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So, you kind of touched on this, but what keeps you coming back?
Well, definitely the teaching. And, you know, life gets busy and things happen. And I feel so blessed to be able to do the marketing for this center, because in order for me to do my job, I have to be in contact with so many of the spiritual leaders in our community. And so I'm constantly searching for content that is light affirming for the center. So it lifts me up every time. And even just to sit in a meeting with Dr. Heather or Reverend Patty or Reverend Karen or Reverend Judy, it's amazing, because there's always some wisdom that I come away with that moves me forward on my path. So yeah, so, and then the people keep me coming back. And I would recommend to anybody, if you really, really want to know this teaching, either go to class or volunteer in the center, because that's where you make those connections, those friendships. That's where you really get to experience people living the teaching on a daily basis. And you know, I consider myself really early in this teaching, even though I've been studying it for 15 years. But every time I step into a meeting, or you know, I write a blog or something, it brings me back, it grounds me in the Ernest Holmes words and teaching. All of our advertising, we try to tie back to it. So, and I wouldn't have that on a consistent basis if I didn't volunteer.
Yeah.
So, and just to be around Kathy and Tony all the time too. I just, you can't get any more people that are more grounded in what this lifestyle, this teaching can do. So,
absolutely. Let's give her a hand. Thank you so much, Julie. We're all very, very grateful for you. And so this is our annual program of commitment. So it's a good time to remind everybody about the power of commitment. I'm going to read a W.H. Murray quote, which most of you have heard many times, because I like it so much. And it is really what we do here. What W.H. Murray, he was an explorer to the Himalayas, and he actually never did climb the Himalayas, but his journey to there was really something, because he'd been a prisoner of war and had been planning this journey. That's how he stayed sane when he was a prisoner of war, World War II, I believe. And so this is what he says: until one is committed, there is hesitancy, always the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Ernest would call that the law. Then providence moves too. God moves when we are committed. He goes on to say, all sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise would have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. And then he concludes with a Goethe quote, couplet, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it, begin it. So this 5 weeks of commitment, I'm encouraging you to commit to several things. First of all, to your spiritual practice. First of all, deepening that spiritual practice so you have a greater awareness of the power within you, of God's power within you. The second thing I'm going to invite you to commit to is the center, which I'll do later on in the service, by making a pledge, making a commitment. And the third thing is to commit, not just to doing your practice, but to loving yourself. Because without self-love, you're just like a weed blowing in the wind, or a mask on a face. So you want to love yourself, you want to love this center, and you want to commit to your spiritual practice and love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. So, an interesting title, right? Courageous and Confident Connections. And I noticed Reverend Patty borrowed my trick that said courageous and conscious, because obviously consciousness is important, that every commitment we make is made consciously. But why courageous? Why confident? The root of the word courage is kur, which means the heart. So the root of courage is listening to your heart, listening to that huge truth for God within you. And interestingly enough, the root of confidence, the con means with, fidelity means trust or truth or God. So 2 synonyms for God right in our theme, trust or truth, and the first one. It was 2 seconds ago. Courageous and confident and conscious connections. And so then fourthly, to make those connections with each other in this community, to get to know one another, to participate, to be fully involved, show up as who you are. So there are many ways that you can show up. Yesterday, Reverend Karen's mother's memorial service, and that's why we have these beautiful extra flowers here. And what a wonderful demonstration of community and love for you, your family, and your mother, because this place was full. And it was full of people who love the Ono family and Reverend Karen, you, but people we had never seen before, of course, family and relatives and friends. And the food was incredible. It was catered, and there were 2 tables of sushi and a huge table of hot food, and then cakes and drinks, and I mean, it was one of the most greatest demonstrations of love I've ever seen. It was a great demonstration of love, and Reverend Karen planned the ceremony. She decided what she wanted in it, and it was beautiful, every single part of it. And I just want to say two things. You know, when your heart opens, when you have a tear, it's actually a really good thing, because it means that you've let go of those things that you're holding so tightly in place to keep you from being seen, and you actually allow the presence of God within you to show itself. And there were two extraordinary moments, and one of them, as soon as I saw it on the program, I knew I was going to be moved by it. Rick sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and it was the version that Izzy sings, the Hawaiian version. It was just exquisite. And then the other thing that really moved me, and I didn't know that it would, is that one of her cousins is a dancer and danced the hula to the song The Prayer. And this version of the prayer had Hawaiian vocals accompanying as well as the English version. And all I can say to describe it is pure beauty. It was pure beauty, pure grace, and it touched the soul. It opened my heart, and my heart was already open. But that is what happens in community. That is what happens. And so thank you so much for having it here and asking me to be a part of it. And any of you who were, well, you were all included in our love, whether you were able to be here or not. And just knowing that that is some of the things, one of the things that we do here. And Mrs. Ono started coming to our center. She came to every Desserts Theater that there ever was, and I think that's 20 years of Desserts Theater. And she said to Karen, you know, I want to have a memorial service at your church. And she was not an old woman when she said that, because she wasn't even an old woman when she passed. But she wasn't an old woman when she said that. And Reverend Karen said, well then, Mom, you'll have to start coming to my church. And she did. And she did. And even when she was in a wheelchair, she would come as often as she could and park as close as she could to the front so she could hear and see. It was such a lovely, lovely demonstration and great love on Reverend Karen's part for her mother and for this community. So I just wanted to mention that. And then later in the evening, many of us went to, one of our beloved members was celebrating her 65th birthday. And we haven't seen her for many years, for years at a time, because she's not been well. And now that she's not working, she's been here more often, and that's Nilla. It was so nice to have some time with her, and for those of you who were there, I know you know, feel the same way. Okay, so all of that is about participating in your life, connecting with people, getting to know the people that you're sitting beside. I know you might be sitting beside a stranger, or maybe there's not even anyone there beside you this morning, but there's someone close to you. There's someone for you to get to know. And we have an opportunity during this time for connection. And that's something called our sacred circles. And there's still room in 2 of those sacred circles to sign up. So at the end of the service, and it's going to have some other sweet things in it, make sure you go back to the back of the room and find Reverend Carla and sign up for one of those circles. It's an opportunity to connect. And you'll be so happy you did, because what I know is the people who are in our circles, we get to know us better than anyone else. And we become lifelong friends. So I know that there's the right people in the right circles, and there's still opportunity, is what I'm trying to say here. Brené Brown made this famous. She said, she quoted Roosevelt's Man in the Arena quote, and that is this: it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. Well, and the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. I can do without the blood, thanks, but who strives valiantly, who errs but comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. So it really is about being in the arena, participating fully, and living that life. The book that I've recommended for the month is a little book, which I didn't inform our administrator to order copies of, so she doesn't know that I'm going to talk about it. It's this little book by Ernest Holmes called Creative Ideas. And it's just a sweet little book of prayers. I mean, every page has a prayer or the lead up to a prayer, earnest words, really sweet, lovely book. The foreword is written by Julia Cameron. Who doesn't know who she is? Good, okay. So some people don't know who she is. Julia Cameron is an amazing writer who wrote The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way, and she credits Ernest. She says, my book, here in her foreword, my book, The Artist's Way, is built on the bedrock of the ideas in this book. High praise, because her book has reached, touched, helped millions of people. Okay, so it's about when you're connecting with God, why would you need courage? Why would you need confidence? And here's the thing, since God is all of those things that in the beautiful song, One Powers, all those beautiful things. But sometimes we feel intimidated by a greater good. In fact, Marianne Williamson says, it isn't our weaknesses that we're most afraid of. It's our light, our strength that we fear. So why would you need courage to connect with God? Because connecting with God illumines you and brings you absolutely everything that you can choose and accept as being yours. And the only thing that can get in your way is your unwillingness to do the work. So I'm going to give you some suggestions for this week as we're connecting with God. Make a commitment to yourself to do your practices. One of those practices, start for these 5 weeks at least, to do the practice of writing morning pages. Here's what a morning page is. It's a stream of consciousness writing that you're not correcting, you're not going back and going, oh, I didn't mean that word. You're just writing whatever comes to mind, and you're doing it on purpose so that you can actually regurgitate what's in your subconscious mind. So you can capture it, because mostly we don't. By the time we get up and have a couple of cups of coffee, we've already put the filters back on. We've put those decisions in place that say, no, not me, not today. But I'm saying, okay, as part of your spiritual practice, try it. You're only doing it for a short time, 5 weeks. Every single day, first thing in the morning. Now, I actually sneak a cup of coffee in while I'm doing it, but I keep doing it. I don't stop to to have my coffee, keep doing it. 3 full size pages in a notebook, so you can, and then do 3 pages and then close it, do the rest of your spiritual practice. Go about your business. Do not read it. Honestly, if you read it, for me, you'll be so shocked. You'll be so disappointed in yourself because it's just the guck. It's like, okay, I'm sweeping off the dirt. Here it comes. Okay, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. All these words that are disempowering, like need to, I have to, I must. Those always come up in my morning pages. But I'm looking forward to seeing them. On about the 5th or 6th day, you can go back and read. And what you're going to read for is to look for what are the ideas you need to change. Because another spiritual practice that I'm going to encourage you to do is to meditate. And I know some of you, Aiden's doing a 2-hour meditation now, so good for him. But and for years I did an hour, but right now I'm doing 20 minutes. So I'm going to up that to a longer meditation time. That's my challenge to everyone here. Whatever your regular meditation practice is, give yourself 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes in that sweet silence to listen to the voice of God within you. To listen to what the Word is saying to you. And then the 3rd spiritual practice. You guessed it. Spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. Because now we take what we notice from the regurgitation, we take what we notice from the meditation, and now we do spiritual mind treatment. I also read a book that Reverend Judy has used for a class, and I don't know if anyone else has, but that's the book Treat Yourself to Life by Raymond Charles Barker. And Raymond Charles Barker begins that book with a wonderful story of a woman, one of his many thousands of members, who he met in the went to the hospital because she was there, and she'd just been diagnosed with a kind of cancer that was incurable, and she was going to cause her to have to wear a brace, a heavy brace, even to walk, or crutches. And she said, but Dr. Holmes, I know that we can have another idea, a different idea. And he said, yes, we can. And so he said, here's the thing. None of these things happen overnight. We seem to think we're in a McDonald's society where everything's McMac. Like, do this, it's going to be quick, fast, do one treatment, I'm done. No. If it took you 4 months to get sick, then at least give 4 months to get well. So he tells the story that she did have to wear a brace, but they continued to work. They continued to do the mental, spiritual work of seeing her whole, seeing her consciousness as healed, her knowing herself as a healthy person who loves to walk and sees herself walking down Fifth Avenue. His church was in New York City. And within 4 months later, she walked into church one Sunday without any braces, without any crutches, on her own power. But the reason he tells it that way, he tells it wasn't right then in her first spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, that she just suddenly woke up and was better. It was consistent practice, knowing the truth, knowing the truth, knowing the truth, knowing the truth. So that's the 3rd thing for each one of us to practice. And I think I'll just demonstrate that right now. So please join me in prayer. In this holy moment of right now, I recognize and know that there is only one power, one life, one presence, that this one that I call God is known by many names. It is first cause to absolutely everything visible and invisible. It is that thing itself that responds because it's infinite intelligence. It is the I am that I am. It is that holiest of holies, and I am committed to courageously and confidently allow more of that holiness, of that wholeness, of that presence to be who I am, where I am, what I am. So consciously unifying with it now. I speak this word for myself in the first person, and I speak it for everyone else. And this is what I know. I know that I am enough and that there is enough. I live in an abundant universe, and I use my mental faculties to create a bigger, better, more abundant life for myself in every area. I speak this word for financial freedom and for the ability to simply be grateful for whatever I have, wherever I am. I speak this word for beauty and clarity, and to see that, perceive that beauty everywhere, whether it is in a dance, a song, in nature, in a person, in the connections we make with one another. I speak this word for all kinds of good to flood into my awareness, my consciousness, that I am greater today than I was yesterday, and I'll be even greater tomorrow. What I know is that this is an evolutionary process, that I'm evolving into a greater and greater expression of my sacred self, of my real self, of my true self. I know that this is true in every area, that I am the creative genius within, that I am the wholeness within, that my body is healthy and whole and vitally alive, that I am the love within, that I connect with other people and with myself in greater ways than ever before, and that I am one with the truth within. The truth has set me free. And so with courage and confidence and great gratitude, I simply thank God for God. I place this word in the law of mind. It is done. And so it is. Amen.
Amen, sister.
please feel free to join in.
Turn it up.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Whenever I fly, God knows why. Find that knows all, will not let me fall. When I feel blind, God's light shines through you and me as harmony.
I am enough. I'm made of God's love. I go with the flow, and God lets you know that the balance of life, the dance of love.
They seem far, as near as you are. Though that may be here, and well disappear. In the middle of this, I found bliss through you and me as harmony.
I am enough. I'm made of God's love. I go with the flow, and God lets you know that the balance of life, the dance of love.
Whenever I fail, God is my sail. And when I succeed, it's not only me, it's the limitless light that makes it alright. Through you and me as harmony.
I am enough. I'm made of God's love. I go with the flow, and God lets you know that the balance of life, the dance of love. I am enough. I'm made of God's love. I go with the flow, and God lets you know that the balance of life, the dance of love. I am
Okay. If the stewards would come forward, please. It's time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings. And what we're doing this morning, what you were passed, the card that you had, on it has a prayer that I wrote for the month, and it has a picture of the gift that we're going to give you in a few minutes. But it also has the lyrics to a new chant that Rick has written and Rick and Karen have recorded. And it's on our website, so you can go and download it and record it. And that chant, so what will happen this morning is we're going to read our prosperity affirmation. We're going to take a few seconds of gratitude, and then we're going to sing the new chant. Okay, so let's say it together. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply and symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
with love and light, moving together, now and forever, living in the one.
what is it? Beautiful melody. Thank you. We're not going to, I just want to say thank you for everyone who's volunteered this week. I'm not going to ask you to stand. The practitioner, I've got some more things coming up. So the practitioners that are in service today are Fred Mercado, Marlene Kuckler, Dave Friedman, and the fourth person, and I'm Kathy Story. No, somebody else. Okay, anyway, thank you to the practitioners. And it's now, if I can ask Reverend Karen and Reverend Patty to come up. We're going to acknowledge those of you who made your pledge last week. And I would, as I call your name, if you'd come forward, receive your gift, and then come to up onto the stage behind me, please. Reverend Karen Allen, Kim Beatty, Mary Brogdon, Reverend Judy Chapman, Dr. Heather Clark, Wayne Davis and Debbie Davis, Joyce Fournier, Aiden Greeny, Marge Hobbs, Jamie Kalama, Cheryl Lyman, Mark Optics, so Judy, get another one. Bob Maltinsky and Sheila Maltinsky, and Bob and Sheila, if you just come up right here, that'd be great. Fred Mercado, who's been holding the consciousness. Reverend Patty Mercado, Harry Macy, and Laura Macy. Estelle Perrot, Reverend Carla Charadas, Tony Sparks, Kathy Story, Faith Strong, Shale Summers, Richard Umana, and Lee Van Slyke. And now I'm going to go to a place where I can see all these beautiful people. I've written a ceremony for us, and it is this. In The Little Prince, one of my favorite books, we read, "What is essential to the heart is invisible." It is so true. What is essential to the heart? Caring, compassion, courage, connection, love, honor, and dignity. We are so grateful for each one of you, each one of us. And we want to thank you for your generosity of spirit, your love, and your commitment. To symbolize our gratitude, we are giving you this beautiful container, which is based on the mandala over to my right, that was made for one of our adventures in faith many years ago by Charlotte Bachman. And these jars or containers are receptacles for some substance. They may look empty when you take the cork off, but they're not. They're filled with love. They've been prayed over, prayers of gratitude, prayers of love, creativity, wisdom, wholeness, energy, and life itself. We've prayed that each participant feels the appreciation and the gratitude that is within the jar and is open and receptive to even greater blessings. Thank you for your pledges. Thank you for your pledges. We know you made it consciously. It takes a lot of love and confidence to make this commitment. It often takes courage to keep these commitments. As a symbol of the commitment that you have made in your connections within this center, please accept this gift. And I'm asking you that keep this gift in a sacred place in your home or wherever, perhaps an altar or by your prayer chair. I know that some of you are somewhere else, more often that you're home. Some of us it's here. But keep that somewhere where it's sacred for you. And when you are doing your spiritual practices, remind yourself that you're already blessed, and we are so grateful for you. Thank you so much. You may be seated. So, not to leave anyone out, there is a pledge card in your program. If you haven't made one and consider yourself a member, we encourage you to make it consciously. And if anyone that wants to make a commitment doesn't want to be publicly recognized through this ceremony, that's quite all right. Just put on your card that you don't want that to happen. But make sure you fill out both sides of the card. We had a couple that were filled in last week that did not have any name on it. It was a lovely pledge, but no name, so we couldn't acknowledge you. And if that was a conscious choice, that's quite all right also. But if you would do that now, and then when you are finished making your pledge, you could, the pledge box is a beautiful wooden box on the blue wall. You can take it there and consciously place it in there. I've already got 2 pledges that were made late last week after I'd already made our list. So they will definitely be honored next week. And I certainly hope the rest of you will consider it as well. We are so grateful for all that you have, all that you do. So I think that's the end of yeah. Okay, so if you're visiting us for the very first time, we have a gift for you, and all you need to do is raise your hand or jump up and let us know that it's you. It's you. I don't see anybody. Okay, well that's really great that there's no one brand new. Let's take this time just to breathe a little bit and breathe in the gratitude that we feel for knowing what we know, for being here. And this is a great playtime. So, you know, it's wonderful that we get to recognize and appreciate God's greatest gifts. So if you had have a birthday in October, would you please stand so that we can sing happy birthday to you? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Does that take us to the announcements?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Please stay after the service for a conversation with the board president, where our president, Fred Mercado, will update us about our plans and status regarding our building, and Conscious Connections will resume next week.
And this week at Wednesday's Wisdom, our very own Reverend Bruce Fredenberg will speak on the same topic as today, connecting with God. So come get a different spin on the topic. It starts at 7 p.m.
And this Wednesday is also the next monthly parent forum led by the amazing Reverend Patty Mercado. This is a wonderful venue for parents or those who are parenting to gain and offer support as well as spiritual tools in making parenting a more fulfilling experience. It meets from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. A light lunch and childcare is provided.
And as Dr. Heather mentioned, Sacred Circles are beginning this week. So after the service, if you haven't already signed up, sign-up sheets are available in the back of the room.
Claudia Riley is facilitating a mastermind group in Spanish based on the John Maxwell book, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. It meets on Monday nights from 6:30 p.m. to 8. A sign-up sheet is on the kiosk. Please see Claudia if you have any questions.
Kiosco. Okay, so our One Spirit group meets the second Friday of every month, and this is our support group for the LGBTQ community. And if you have any questions for times and locations, please see Kathy Story.
There she is. And you may have heard this before, but as always, we have practitioners in service today. They will be available to you immediately following the service in the back of the room and in the Tranquility Room. If you'd like your life transformed, please come see one of the practitioners in service today.
And today's flowers, yay, are from the church staff in celebration of Reverend Judy's birthday, which was on October 1st. Happy birthday, Reverend Judy, we love you. Just for you. And there's always so much going on here at the center. Please take your inserts home with you. And Diane has an announcement.
Choir people, come get your CDs for rehearsal.
Yes.
And become a choir person.
Yes. And do we have kids? Let's bring them in.